Well, this is good news for V8s and, well, some deregulation in the EPA. And I'm sure you've already heard, even Ram has announced that they're bringing back multiple V8s in the 1500 and they're bringing back the TRX. So I think this is partially due to things they knew were coming. But I was thinking about this the other day when I saw a comment on my channel. Imagine they take this Tundra and they retrofit maybe a newer version of the 5.7 liter V8. Maybe it has direct injection and port injection and no turbo. Maybe made it to that same 10-speed automatic that they have in this new Tundra. Man, if you could make this truck reliable, I think they could actually crack into Ram's numbers. I know that some people don't think that they could do that, but I really think they could if they had, again, the most reliable platform, but also with all the updates. Now, who knows? Maybe people just love that twin turbo and they want the power and they got to have something that can tow up the gauntlet going 800 miles an hour. But I think they could win the reliability race long term. I just don't see Toyota going back to it. But wouldn't it be cool if General Motors actually brought back a V8, the 6.2, the 5.3 that didn't have active fuel management? That would be something. The EPA announced what they call the biggest deregulatory action in U.S. history. Watch this.
Now, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin says his agency wants to drive a dagger straight into the heart of what he calls climate change religion. With the stated goal of unleashing energy, Zeldin's proposals include a call to upend the basis for all the EPA's climate change actions.
So some will be super happy about this, some won't. The EPA launches the biggest deregulatory action in U.S. history, 31 historic actions. We're going to go through them ripping fast, and then we're going to get to a couple other stories. I do think the talk of EV mandates is affecting Tesla and other companies because Tesla just sent an email. I got it. It was 0% for 60 months or 72 months on the new Model 3. That's pretty aggressive. So I think their sales have been taking a hit in the U.S. for sure. They're up in Britain, but they have been taking a hit. Now, the first part is unleashing American energy. They're going to reconsider regulations on power plants from the Clean Power Plan 2.0, reconsider the regulations on throttling the oil and gas industry. So they essentially have 7 different items that they're targeting just between coal and nuclear energy and all these other things that were targeted by the EPA from other administrations. And probably one of the bigger ones for my channel, a car channel, they have a reconsideration of light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty vehicle regulations that provided the foundation for the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate. That is partially related to that 2035 initiative. So if they start getting rid of that, I think EVs are really going to get hit pretty hard. So let me know in the comments, how far do you think the Trump administration is going to get with this? Do you think they'll really accomplish all this stuff, or do you think it'll get held up in court? And let's jump to tariffs. Ford is actually doing kind of a surprising move. They're stockpiling parts and telling suppliers to keep shipping, it's interesting. Interesting take on their speculation of what's going to happen. So if you hadn't heard, the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico as of March 4th, but they gave the automotive sector a 1-month exemption. Tariffs on imports from China are now at 20% after the administration imposed a 10% duty on goods from that country on top of 10% import tax. And the tariff on steel and aluminum, it's a 25% tariff, which starts on March 12th. Applies to steel and aluminum regardless of the country of origin. And here's something that's interesting tariffs might affect is even just down to the engine building. I had no idea that, so sometimes they manufacture things like pistons and internals of the engine. They ship them from, say, Canada or Mexico into our country. Then they get refined a little bit and then sent back. So they're actually going over the border multiple times. So each time they go over the border, they'll actually get tariffed each time. So that's what everybody's freaking out about, is all these kind of inefficiencies in the process, and it's actually going to add a lot of cost to the engine building. And I'm sure you may have heard stories about the stock market. This is what I think is going to drive the lowest car prices in the future. If the stock market actually continues down, then we're going to see lower car prices because people are going to have tighter belts. But this is quite funny. The market was heading down for the last maybe week, and then it bounced back up today, so everybody thinks everything's fine. I think it's just a temporary bounce back, and it's going to continue down. And you'll see a lot of headlines like this. People actually think that Trump is intentionally crashing the stock market. So the reasoning behind that would be so he can renegotiate the national debt in a way. So he doesn't care what the market is doing short term. We're just looking at long term, and the national debt is just insane right now, has been for years, and our interest is too high to pay. So there's a lot of speculation that he's trying to do these tariff things and crash the market, and then that will in turn lower interest rates, and that's the theory. I don't know if it's true, but it was an interesting theory nonetheless. And in other news, we can all be very sad for Jim Farley. His compensation fell to $24.9 million. Poor Jim. He had to take a pay cut. God, I feel so bad. The used car prices jumped a little bit over the past 30 days, jumped 0.18%, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping that the used car price trend would, as you can see, this graph head down, but it's just kind of creeping back up. A lot of that has to do with new car pricing. It's not stock. There's a ton of used car stock on the market right now, but yeah, we're just fluttering in that area. If the tariffs hit and if the stock market continues to go down, I think this is going to head back down. Kelley Blue Book just put this out. They said new car average transaction prices remain elevated year over year and are $10,000 higher than pre-pandemic times 5 years ago. That's a bummer, obviously, and probably the most disappointing news, if this is correct. They say tariffs could impact new vehicle prices under $40,000 by adding $6,000 to their manufacturing cost, which could send car prices soaring. Well, that would be pretty bad, because that's going to also affect the used market as well. So that would be a bummer. And this really hasn't changed that much. The new car average transaction price, $48,000. This is what's sticking used prices too. This is just killing it. If the market crashes, this will change. If the stock market crashes, that's really the only way any of this is going to change. There is a kind of bright spot in all of the bad news, though. It looks like the days supply of inventory by brand is actually going up. I've seen this with Toyota specifically. They've been around the 30-day mark for a long time, and they're already up to 40. You probably already know Toyota has put that initiative forward. They want to build more, sell more, so their inventory is coming up. Inventory really isn't the problem. It's going to be the tariffs and whether or not we can get that stock market to stay volatile. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that these tariffs and everything are going to just implode the market and the stock market's going to crash? Do you think they're really going to bring back V8s in full swing? Do you think General Motors, Toyota, anybody else is going to bring back V8s? Boy, there's a lot of speculation in the car market right now. I mean, just nobody knows which way is up. It's kind of fun, but also kind of a little crazy at the same time. You see different headlines by the hour, so should be an interesting ride for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time.